friends, let's do another interesting word problem on whole numbers. For that, let's read the question first. Mr. Thomas sold 4 times as many mobile phones as iPads and collected a total of $8,400. The amount collected for all the mobile phones sold was $3,480, more than the amount collected for all the iPads sold. Each iPad cost $325 more than each mobile phone. Now part A of the question is how much was collected from selling all the mobile phones, and part B is how many iPads did Mr. Thomas sell. So what we have here is that Mr. Thomas is selling two kinds of gadgets. One is mobile phone and another one is iPad, and he sold 4 times as many mobile phones as iPad, right? He sold a lot more mobile phones than the iPads, right? And the total amount he collected by selling those mobile phones and iPad is $8,400, right? And we also know that the amount collected for all the mobile phones sold was $3,480, more than the amount collected for all the iPads sold. Okay, it's expected also because the number of mobile phones is sold. The number of mobile phones sold were a lot more than how many iPads were sold, right? So obviously the amount collected by selling all the mobile phones should be more than the amount collected by selling the iPads, although it definitely depends on the cost of iPad and the mobile phone, right? And here the difference between the cost of one iPad and one mobile phone is $325. Obviously iPad costs more than the mobile phone. Okay, so for part A we need to find out how much was collected from selling all the mobile phones, right? So I think for this one, for part A, right, we can quickly draw a model to find out how much was collected for selling by selling the mobile phones, right? Because we know the total amount collected for both mobile and the iPad, and how much more was collected for the mobile phone. So let's try to draw it. So let's say this is the amount collected from selling of mobile phone. Let's say, right, it's this much, right? So how much do you think is collected from for the iPad, right? It should be lesser or more? It should be lesser. Why? Because it said here that mobile phones sold the amount collected from the mobile phone was 3,480 more, right? So if second one we are drawing for iPad, it should be lesser, right? It should be lesser than what we have drawn for mobile phone, right? So let's label it quickly. So let's say this one represents mobile and this one is for iPad, right? And so that means in total, right, how much was collected? It was $8,400, right? That means this altogether is $8,400, right? And we also know that the amount collected by selling the mobile phone was 3,480 more, right? So which we can show it here like this. See, so this is the extra amount we collected by selling the mobile phones, right? So which is 3,480, right? So let's say the amount we collected by selling the iPads is 1 unit. Then the amount collected by selling the mobile phones will be 1 unit plus $3,480, right? Now we know that all this together, that means this 2 unit plus another 3,480 is 8,400, right? So if we just subtract this amount, the part I'm showing in shaded, right, this amount from 8,400, what we will be left with? we'll be left with two units, right? This one and this one, which is 2 units, right? So from here we can straight away say that, okay, my 2 units should be equal to 8400 minus 3480, right? Then it should give me what? So our 2 units is actually equal to $4,920, right? So how much will be 1 unit? So 1 unit will be 4920 divided by 2, right? And that will give me 2460, right? So that means the amount that we have collected for by selling iPads is 2460. Why? Because here we can see here that 1 unit represents the amount collected by selling the iPads, right? And here 1 unit is 2460. But here the question is, the part A of the question is, how much was collected from selling all the mobile phones, right? So we know that this one represents the amount collected by selling all the mobile phones, which is 1 unit plus 3480, right? So the amount collected, so let's solve for the part A. So amount collected from mobile phones, from mobiles, is how much? It is equal to 1 unit, right? 1 unit plus another 3480, right? Which is equal to 1 unit is how much? 2460 plus 3480, right? And that will give me 5940, right? So that means the amount collected by selling all the mobile phones is $5,940, right? So that answers our part A, right? Now we'll move on to part B, okay, which is asking how many iPads did Mr. Thomas sell, right? So we need to find out what's the number of iPads he sold, right? So for this one, right, so this model represents the money, right? How much money was collected by selling mobile phones and iPads, and what was the total amount and all. But we need to draw another model which shows the number of mobile phones and iPads sold, right? And the first statement tells us that the number of mobile phones sold was 4 times the number of iPads sold, right? So let's try to draw it. So let's say this is the number of mobile phones sold, right? So the number of iPads will be a lot lesser, only because it's only 1 unit, right? So we can represent it something like this. So this is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So this one represents the number of mobile phones sold, right? And the second one is iPad, the number of iPads sold. So for labeling, right, we can say that, let's say the number of iPads sold is n, right? Let's say n number of iPads had been sold, right? So how many mobiles were sold, right? So they were 4 times of iPad, right? So if this is n, then obviously all this is n as well, right? So there are 4 n's, right? So if Mr. Thomas sold n number of iPads, he sold 4n number of mobile phones, right? So let's say, for example, let's say the iPads he sold is 5, right? So that means the value of n is 5. So what do you think, how many mobile phones he must have sold? It will be 5 times 4, right? It will be, so mobile phones will be 5 4 times 5 will be 20, which is 4n, right? So this is just an example. I'm not saying this is the answer. This is just an example, right? So that you understand, right? If let's say 5 iPads were sold, then how many mobiles were sold? Obviously 4 times 5, 20 mobiles had been sold, right? Now, given that Mr. Thomas sold n number of iPads and 4n number of mobile phones, right? We know that how much money was collected by selling n number of iPads and how much money was collected by selling 4n number of mobile phones, right? How much money was collected by selling n number of iPads? It's this one, right? So the money collected by selling n number of iPads, this one is how much? This one is 2460. So we can write it as amount collected, okay, amount collected by selling n iPads. N iPads is how much? We know it's 2460, right? And we also know that the amount collected by selling 4n mobiles is 5940, right? The amount collected by selling all 4n mobiles is 5940. So let's write it. So amount collected, okay, by selling how many mobiles? 4n mobiles, and it is equal to 5940. Then how much money was collected, right, by selling n number of mobiles? This is the amount collected by selling these many mobiles, which is 5940. Then how much was collected by selling only n number of mobiles? Obviously this amount divided by 4, right? This amount, if we divide by 4, we'll get how much money was collected by selling n number of mobiles, right? So amount collected by selling n mobiles is easy. It's 5940 divided by 4, right? And that will give me 1485. So you observe here, see, the amount collected by selling n number of iPads is 2460, and the amount collected by selling n number of mobiles is 1485, which is lesser than 2460. Reason is because the cost of one iPad is more than the cost of one mobile phone, right? That's why when we are comparing the equal number of iPads and mobiles, obviously the amount collected for the same number of iPads will be more than the amount collected for the same number of mobile phones, right? And so let's find out the difference, right? Why I'm trying to find out the difference between the amount collected by selling n number of iPads and the amount collected by selling n number of mobile phones is because I know the difference in the cost of one mobile phone and one iPad is 325, right? So let's calculate it. So the difference in cost of basically 1n iPad, the cost of 1n iPad, right, and n mobiles, right, and mobiles will be basically, this should have been just n, right, is equal to, obviously this minus 2460 minus 1485, and that will give me 975, right? So basically the difference, the amount collected by selling n numbers of iPads and n numbers of mobile phone is 975, and we know that the cost of one iPad is 325 more than the cost of one mobile. That means if we divide this amount by 325, we will get how many iPads have been sold, and that's what is our part B, right? So the number of iPads sold, number of iPads sold will be how much? It will be 975 divided by 325, and that will give me 3, right? That will give me 3. That means Mr. Thomas sold 3 iPads, right? Okay, so that's the solution of part B. Let's write our final answer quickly. So for part A, the amount collected from selling the mobile phone was $5,940, and for part B, Mr. Thomas sold 3 iPads. Okay, so that's the solution of this question. Hope you liked it. Keep watching and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.